Who's that? Is he a member of the VFW?
I don't know. For me, no. We don't have VFW.
Yeah, it's in here.
I spent 5 weeks in there.
Did you get a vacation?
I think you do. I did too. I was married in a war.
Well, you were?
2 awards.
Oh, you. That's not what I meant.
I know.
I can't even remember. All I know is it's work and being busy.
I was inside the 5K zone when Russia invaded Czechoslovakia with an Hawk missile unit, so they considered us part of the war zone.
Now, my brother was in South Korea. He was never in North Korea.
Well, I'm talking about Germany.
Oh, okay.
I guess it did. Or no,
I had a Hawk missile battery. All our batteries were within 5 or 10 kilometers of the
fixed up 3
Well,
houses.
that's good.
Yep.
So you got the moment.
No.
You stayed there? I think that's good.
None
I
of them Memphis.
think it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I've done a few of those.
650.
And it's fun to do.
Right
Took my 15-year-old to
hillside overlooking
extremely rural Mexico
Watch the Russian tanks go
and
by.
helped build a 2-story log house for our school. These people know how to do it. I've never seen anybody cut a tree down. Make it into a fitted log so fast. I mean, it was amazing.
That's cool.
But a Coca-Cola cost 4 pesos, and they were only paid 7 a day or 8 a day. And they would take that Coke and they put the cap back on, they'd stick it in their back pocket, and they'd sit on it.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a lady in a little shack who had a blanket hanging in her room, and you could walk in the front door and she sold like cheese and crackers and Cokes. You know, first day there, I got altitude sickness because it was way up, right on the continental divide of Mexico. But I love mission trips.
Yeah.
But I haven't been in a couple of years. That was wild. Jane.
Leslie.
Wesley, thank you. Terrible names.
I'm getting there.
Sure.
You still messing with real
Yeah.
estate?
No, sir. Retired 9 years ago.
Thought you had, but I didn't know if you'd stay that way.
Got to
Yeah.
have a fight with the Department of Revenue in Missouri here, so they helped me make my mind up.
I'm going to go to my house for a year in a month. I haven't been. This is going to be different.
Maybe 7 o'clock.
It's gonna be fun.
Says I have to do that. The September 5th, 2019 meeting of the St. Charles County Board of Zoning is hereby called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the meeting of the St. Charles County Board of Adjustments. I'm the board's chairman, Jerry Prinster. The duties of the board include hearing appeals to vary the zoning requirements to provide relief where the conditions of a property prevent development consistent with the intent or purposes of the applicable zoning regulations, and to render decisions on appeals from an action of the Director of the Division of Planning and Zoning when it has been alleged that a permit has been incorrectly issued or denied. The board members here are citizen volunteers who are appointed by the county executive with county council approval. County staff members are also present to assist with these proceedings and advise the board. And we do need advice quite a bit, so we're happy to have them here. At this time, we ask that you please mute your cell phones and any other electronic devices. During this meeting, each case will begin with a presentation by the applicant, which is typically limited to 5 minutes. County staff will then have an opportunity to provide relevant information for the board to consider. Any written communications from the public will be entered into the record. The board will then take public testimony relevant to whether or not granting the requested variance would be appropriate. All persons planning to speak at tonight's meetings must first complete a speaker's card and hand it into the recording secretary. Blank cards are located on the podium. Each speaker approaching the podium should submit their card, state their name, and be sworn in. Testimony is typically limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Once testimony is concluded, I will close the public hearing, and no further input from the audience will be taken. A board member will move to approve the application so that discussion and a vote may take place. As required by county ordinance, at least 4 of the 5 board members must vote in the affirmative for a variance request to be approved. If the variance request is approved, the applicant may proceed after the proper permits have been issued. Any decision of the Board of Zoning Adjustments may be appealed to the County Council within 14 working days after notification of the decision is mailed. The Unified Development Ordinance and zoning maps of St. Charles County are hereby entered into the record. Please read at the start of the public, here, I'm reading my directions. I hereby open the public hearing on this case. Secretary, would you read the first variance request, please?
Variance request, 232 Berg Crossing Drive. Application VAR 19-03, owner Philip Pashada. Applicant THD Design Group. Variance requested. A request to vary section 405.080.d.2 of the ordinances of St. Charles County to vary the 50-foot minimum required front yard setback to 37 feet to allow for the construction of a new residence. Property zoning A, agricultural district with planned unit development overlay district. Area 2.39 acres, location on the southwest terminus of Berg Crossing Drive, approximately 1,000 feet north of Highway 94 South, Council District 2.
Thank you. Is the property owner, applicant, or a representative here to speak on this appeal? Your card, give that to Sheila if you would be so kind. Thank you. Please raise your right hand, if you would, please. Do you solemnly swear to affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Matt Poston with THD Design Group. Our office is located at 148 Chesterfield Industrial Boulevard, Suite E, in Chesterfield, Missouri, 63305.
Please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the board, taking the time out to hear our application this evening. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Pashada, requesting a variance of 13 feet to the front yard setback at 232 Berg Crossing Drive. We have a situation with the lot with extreme topography, limiting the placement of the house on this particular piece of ground. The exhibit that I had passed out to you earlier exemplifies the slope across the majority of lots within this same surrounding area. I believe in the staff report was noted that this development does have extreme grades for most of the lots, but I wanted to kind of show that this one lot has a little bit more steep grade, particularly than all the other lots. I do believe the staff report also noted that there were no front yard setbacks previously granted within this development. I found online application number 1933 for, I believe it is 4448 Augusta Shores Drive, granted a variance to the rear yard setback and the front yard setback of 15 feet. So we're here tonight requesting that we vary this setback to be able to move the house a little closer, get it on a more suitable piece of ground that isn't so extremely sloped. With pushing the house back to the prescribed setbacks in the zoning requirements, it's going to force our house to sit about halfway into a 2-to-1 slope, causing extremely extended foundation walls down to bedrock, and then the possibility of foundation failure in the future.
Thank you. Anyone on the board have questions? Kevin, you seem to have one when we spoke.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On page 104, it says number 8, item number 8 says this is not a boundary survey. I did not see anywhere on this site plan where the house was tied to the boundary with dimensions. Do you have a boundary surveying relating the proposed house so that we know it is in fact over the 50-foot setback?
Yes, sir, I do.
You brought it?
I did not bring it, no, I have one.
Why is it not included as part of this submittal? As far as I can see right here, this house and this property line are just floating in space. It might be 17 feet, 13 feet, or it might be 9 feet that we're asking for here without seeing that information as part of the submittal.
No, it's not. Yes, sir, that is an oversight on the site plan. I agree with you. The setback to the front, the house is set right at half a foot behind the requested setback.
Behind the 37-foot
Yes.
proposed setback.
So our building, closest building corner to Berg Crossing Drive is 37 and a half feet.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Almost every structure, except for the few down around the lake, they are all up hills and back in the woods and hanging over places and everything. What makes this different? You think if you went down to bedrock with your foundation, it might cause it to fail?
No, the extra height in going down to bedrock and then being on that slope, I had our geotechnical engineers just take a quick glance at it, and they agreed that the more suitable buildable area was up closer to where that bluff is. We have quite a bit steeper slope than most of the lots out there. I think the one lot directly to the west of us is about 19% across that lot. We're more at 28%. So the further you go back, the further down you're going to have to go as you ride that slope. So based on a slope like that, we may have to have a foundation poured almost the same height, extended footing almost the same height as the basement. So we may have, excessively tall structure in that back.
As you know, there's houses out there that they go up like 60 feet before they get to the living level or whatever it is, I'm guessing. If you go on down through Lakeshore Hills, there's not Lakeshore Hills, Augusta Shores, there's a lot of properties where they've had to build up a long ways before they ever started building their house. And I guess my other question would be, we had a letter from a couple of letters from the homeowners out there saying that they have their own rules and that they don't allow this, they require the 50-foot setback also. So I guess my question to you, have you got permission from them to do the 13 feet? Or are you coming to us first? Or?
Yeah, we are in discussions with the homeowners association regarding the setback requirements. They also have vegetation removal requirements that we're working with on as well. Our stance was to come and get approval from the county to have actually variance to the ordinance, and then approach the homeowners association again and say the county is, accepting this. Can we please move forward with this? They obviously have the capability of denying that if they'd like.
I noticed in the comments from the staff that they say that if the positioning of the house were moved, they could easily fit within our requirements, within the county's requirements. Have you attempted to reorient the house?
Yes, we have. We originally started with putting the house down a little bit further to the southwest, down about where the slope grading is, coming down into the vegetation. And we wound up the same thing there with such an extensive foundation that it wasn't deemed to be feasible.
I have a question for the staff. Is that 448 Augusta Shore, has there been a granted variance on that?
I'd have to check that for you. Hang on just a minute. So 448. Are we going to work?
I think we've done that since I've been here.
Sorry, this computer's being very slow.
Has the homeowner looked at other possibilities of reorganizing the house to be able to fit on it?
He has been working with this architect for some time. They developed this set of house plans, and he'd really like to try and use this particular set. I'm sure there is modifications going to be made to the house. However, he's bought a lot that he's fallen in love with because of the view, and really kind of wants to put his forever home on it.
You said it was 448 Augusta Shore?
Yes.
Because they're all 448, and then
4448.
4448.
Yes, it should be north of the lake,
Here.
right there.
So I believe this one was only a rear. Let me,
The very front
Front
and
and
rear
rear.
setbacks.
okay, from 50 to 35, so, yeah. And front. Yeah, because this one got very small in width.
And it
And
as
depth.
well, the northwest corner of that lot is kind of the same situation as ours. There's a little bit flatter spot in that area with topography coming downhill.
Does Mr. Pashuta already own this lot?
He does, sir.
He was aware of the setback when he bought it and approached the architect.
I believe so. Is that correct, Phil?
There's been some concern about the site distance, and can you guys talk about that a little bit?
So the site distance here on the corner, let me show you the corner. This is the corner here that's in reference. This is, you're standing on Berg, going around the corner. Let me give you, you're basically standing roughly at the intersection of Murdoch and Berg Crossing. So that with the rock face here, it's kind of difficult to see around the corner. So we considered, you know, if the house gets closer to the corner, what would it do to that intersection?
You should turn in your speaker, huh? With the condition of the existing bluff being there, the house is going to be sitting still at least 20 feet behind that bluff, and the bluff itself is already a hindrance to site visibility. The house will not impede that any further.
Go ahead.
That view is actually from Murdoch.
Chairman, point of order, he needs to be sworn in.
Yes.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to affirm, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Please state your name.
You need to approach the microphone.
Yeah, if we got to speak in one, you have to.
Sure. I just wanted to make the point on that.
What- Your name and
Oh,
address,
sure.
please.
Philip Pashota, 1565 Parsons Bend Court, O'Fallon, Missouri, 63366.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to point out that that view is actually from Murdoch looking towards Berg Crossing. Not, I don't know if that makes a difference, but I just wanted to be accurate.
Any other comments from the applicant?
I have no other unless you guys have more questions.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak for or against this variance? Given no additional public comments, I will close the public hearing. Board, what's your thoughts?
I would personally prefer that they get the variance from the homeowner association first. Otherwise, we may be overstepping.
So are you making a motion?
I will.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, does staff get to present their?
That's right.
Well, I thought they had
No,
Did we skip
told us
that?
everything they knew.
no, go ahead.
Yeah,
Staff.
I don't have any further comments on, everything was covered that we needed to cover.
Okay.
We're all rusty.
Robert, yeah, I think.
Oh,
We want to proceed with that motion?
I was just going to suggest that the options before you tonight, I believe, are approval with conditions, or denial. And so when you put together a motion, you might keep that in mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Like you said, we're pretty rusty.
It's been a while
Yes.
for all of us.
Do you want to reword that about the homeowners?
I'd like to make a motion that we conditionally approve it upon them getting approval from the homeowner association.
Second.
Okay, Leslie, you made the motion? John, you second? Kevin?
This is for the vote? No to the variance.
Okay. We need another yea or nay?
no.
Takes 4 of the 5 to pass, so this motion, it's denied.
If you,
Am I in the proper,
could I ask that you, to complete the vote so we can have a record of,
That's right.
of everyone?
Okay.
Vote, please.
All 5 need to vote.
Thank you.
John seconded it, Leslie made the motion.
Okay.
They need to say yes or no.
Okay, Kevin said no. Where are you keeping track of that? I don't have that.
Right here.
Okay, and I don't vote unless there's a,
I think all 5 of us vote.
think so, okay, no.
John?
I voted with the yes with the motion.
He seconded it and voted yes.
Voted yes.
Okay. Motion doesn't pass.
Okay.
Did we follow the Roberts rules?
Yeah, if you could just, for the next one, if you could just call everybody's name. So that
Roll
it's
call.
On the microphone.
Actual roll call,
Get their
okay.
vote on there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, there is options. You guys can go back to, would you explain what they can do next if it's denied here?
Well,
Don't they have a chance to go in front of the county council?
County
yeah,
council.
I'll have to see if by the vote, if that would allow I think if it's, unless it's a unanimous no, then that can be appealed to the county council within so many days.
14 days
14
of
days.
notice.
Okay, yeah.
Is it unanimous vote or just denial?
If it's not a unanimous vote for denial, if it's not a unanimous no, then it can be appealed to the county council within X number of days. The only other option I see would be to amend the PUD, the plan unit development for the Augusta Shores for the one property, and that would require going to the Planning and Zoning Commission and county council, but that would be a two-step process rather than a one-step.
So we'd have to get approval from the homeowners association with that as well, would we not?
No, the homeowner association approval is not necessary, but their input is always, is valued as part of any public hearing process.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Madam Secretary,
Yeah, I'm hurrying here in a second.
take your time. We'll get better at this.
Variance request for 1414 Highway Z, application VAR 19-04. Owner, Wentzville Memorial VFW Post 5327. Applicant, Michael Gunta. Variance is requested. A request to vary section 405.475.A.1 of the ordinances of St. Charles County to allow for the display of an electronic sign in the A agricultural district, which is not permitted. And 2, a request to vary section 405.490.B of the ordinances of St. Charles County to allow the sign to operate so that it is flashing, which is not permitted. Property zoning, A agricultural district. Area 8.57 acres, location approximately 320 feet south of the intersection of Highway Z and Peruke Hills Parkway, adjacent to the city of Wentzville, Council District 2.
Hereby open the public hearing for this case. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this issue? Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jeff Bornfeld. I'm the commander of the VFW post, 5327. The post address, 1414 Highway Z.
I forgot to swear you in. She's going to yell at me. Please raise your hand, and do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Now identify yourself, please.
Jeff Bornfeld, commander, VFW post 5327.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Well, I'd like to back up a little bit on where I'm at on this sign because it doesn't throw a little bit of history on this. Because I didn't just put the sign up. It had been sitting there for 11 years, and it was basically the one with put the letters up, and then the arrow with the bulbs that go this way and brought light up. I took over as commander 3 years ago, and part of my perception was that to generate with all the housing developments that have gone on around our area was one, I'm in the business here to generate new members. And being in a fast city around that outside, I want to appearance. So I noted one day that we had multiple banners. We had sign here, we had a sign there, we had this sign. The weather was tearing up the sign, and the letters would drop. But the lights all worked. So what we did was we took the existing sign, put LED board in there, 2 LED boards, changed the light bulbs out of it, put the LED boards. I'm in the automotive field. I'm pretty good with welding. I re-exist that sign that had been sitting there for 11 years. So I took that sign, I braced the welding up on the metal, and then we made a nice wooden outlay, and eventually we were going to do siding. So that was my perception, and then I was going to cut these other signs down that are on the other side of our lot and kind of clean it up a little bit to make it more presentable. It was also a way to keep multiple banners all over the road because that was not my perception. I've been in the retail side of the business. I know the biggest thing is perception is everything. So being that the sign was already there, I just was essentially replacing the bulbs, cleaning it up. I didn't know about, the sign didn't have an ordinance or didn't have a permit to start off with. I didn't know. It's been sitting there for 11 years. Nobody ever said anything. So I'm just at the perception of all we're doing is cleaning it up. We're going to make this nicer, and then we'll not have as many banners out. It'll look more presentable. We also cleaned the pad up underneath there, and the sign is still bolted down with 2 bolts on each side, and it would take 15 minutes to move that sign. It literally, with our bucket truck that we have there, we could lift that slab up, and I could move that sign if I needed to move that sign. So that was where I started with. That's the reason why I never filed for a permit, because I didn't assume that. So here's where I'm at today, so that going forward, I will be able to do that. When I first put it up, I'm learning the sign. I did have it had starbursts and all that. I'm not trying to be a nuisance. I just want basic messages, just like the church down the street. So that's all I'm looking for. That's where I'm at. I did have some photos that we entered in that shows that one part of in the report says neighboring houses, 7.8 track. I am off the highway. The hardship is the slope that hits right away. We do have a surveying company that is in the middle of doing another complete plot because there's some other things I want to do on the lot down the road to clean it up again. So we're waiting on a report from the surveying company. But I'll be happy to answer any questions I can. But that was where my hardship was, is the fact that I can't really move that sign anywhere. And again, I wouldn't have done this if I would have known that it didn't have a permit, I wouldn't have gone forward with all this. I wouldn't have spent the money. It wasn't just, hey, I'm the VFW, I can do this. That's not the perception. That was not what I was going for, so. I mean,
Yes, please raise your right hand.
Come up to the microphone,
Yep.
please.
We're over here?
Yep. Push him out of the way.
Push them out of the way.
Do you swear to affirm and tell the truth, so help you God? The whole-
I do.
Good
I do.
Lord. Bad day.
Bad day.
Please state your name.
Michael Junta, Quartermaster of the VFW Post 5327 on 1414 Highway Z.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you.
He talked about, we had some letters or something that came by, and the fact that the subdivisions around the sign was the interfering with the subdivisions and like being in their view. So I went on, I stood at the sign and I took pictures to show, which way am I going here? Does that work? To show that anywhere from that sign that I'm standing at now, north, south, east, west, all four are, you can see that there's trees, there's fences, and there is, the houses and subdivision way back there is not even distracted, and they can't possibly see that sign. So that sign wouldn't be a burden to the subdivisions and the people living in those homes and what have you. The fact that also I was informed they were supposed to be in, but I think like on the 9th, something like that, we've got state senators that are sending us letters of endorsement for the VFW, and several state representatives that are also sending us letters for the endorsement for the VFW to keep the sign as is. Like, there's no flashing, there's no glitter, there's nothing, the letters stay up, 10 seconds? The letters stay up for 10 seconds, then they go away, and then some other event comes up. And
if I can interject.
Sure.
I don't want to, how the best way to say this, as a commander, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want traffic accidents. I want to do the same thing as the church has their sign down the street. I have no problem not doing the flash, the starburst. That's not a problem. I just want to be able to put my message up. I have no problem doing the 10 seconds. That's all I'm asking for.
And we have Cochran Survey and Engineering doing the survey work for us, and they're still not completed. I've talked to Eric, I believe, one of the PEs over there, and I think they're still working on it, but eventually, I know on the PDF, on the application form, I did a little sketch. I went out there and did a little survey myself at the time because we needed to get the application in by the deadline. So I went out there and I surveyed all the property, tying everything down from the center line of Highway Z back and trying to show everything that was there. Cochran, they're gonna finish up with a partial site plan showing the landscaping, the topography, the right-of-way, everything that needs to be, the elevations of the height of the sign and the width of the sign. And they're gonna come up with
I would like to say, I mean, you were in civil engineering for 20-something years, so the sketch is in there. This photo might show a little bit of the slope that we're talking about, where it drops drastically. Matter of fact, I won't allow anybody to use the riding lawnmower on that slope. When they cut the grass, we actually have a grass cutting service that comes and does that there for us when we hold the run for the wall and other events. Other than that, I'd be happy to field any questions you might have.
Any board members have questions?
Do you by chance have any pictures of the church down the street that has a similar sign?
I don't think I do. I do not, actually.
And does anybody know this person that wrote this letter wanting the sign removed because they can see it from their living room couch?
I have
Where,
no...
anybody know where that Farouk Ridge Drive is in relation?
No, a few of the people that
You
live
have a
there.
number, you have a letter from somebody
Yeah, it's in your-
objecting?
It's in your packet. Should be in the last page.
That's fine.
I can't see it from all obstruction in the trees.
Yeah, but those leaves won't always be there.
I don't think it's in the packet. It was in the email today.
It was a late email
She
after
handed
the
it
packet
out.
was sent out, I think, Sheila.
And somewhere I think I read that it's not allowed in the residential area, but it would be allowed in the ag area, or vice
No,
versa?
vice versa.
Okay, so is there any place on the property it can be moved and seen from the street that would be in compliance? No? Okay.
Yeah, no, the ag thing, the agriculture thing totally throws me off. Like I said, we wouldn't have been through this whole process if that sign wasn't there for 11 years. And they had the light bulbs going and all that. It just, this weather really damaged it, and it, through the letters would fall down. So then I get half a message, but
The sign would be put in that slope and that ditch down there, and that would be a hardship because we can't go anyplace else with it.
and I can turn brightness down. Like I said, I'm not trying to be a nuisance. I can work with that sign. I've gotten better with it. I know how to keep the starburst away from it. I'm just trying to make it more presentable, because we're getting ready to paint the whole thing. Yeah, everything's gonna be one color, so.
It almost seems like the the cart's in front of the horse here a little
Yeah.
bit. Could I ask a question of staff over here? I mean, if this thing was tabled tonight for them to get some more information put together and come back, rather than just having it denied because it currently doesn't meet all the requirements, is that an option?
Well, I think that would be up to the applicant. They could choose to want to proceed tonight with the evidence that they presented so far, or they could choose to request that it be tabled and come back with more information. Another option that, if I could just jump the gun a little bit here, from what I'm hearing tonight, you're not seeking the second variance for the flashing or the motion or the less than 10 seconds. So that leaves only one variance request, and that is to allow a digital sign in a agricultural zoning district. Under our ordinances, we could issue a permit for such a sign in a commercial or industrial zoning district. And the master plan recommends public institutional. So if this property were zoned commercial, or if a portion of it were zoned commercial, or the portion that the sign was going to be located on, I believe we could issue a sign permit for such a sign, but not for, obviously not for flashing or moving, but for, the 10-second static.
Yeah, I just want to be able to stream my message this way. Okay, here's this message. All right, now flip over. Here's the next message.
Right.
10 seconds. Because I know the state's requirement is 10 seconds between those. And like I said, I'm just trying to get our message across, but also trying to make it look more presentable.
Right.
And how much space, that concrete base is like 8.6 feet square. You know, the sign's like 5 by 7 or something like that, 7 feet by 5 feet high.
I mean, I used the existing framing that was in there before, and all I did was I literally ordered the LED board to put in there. And it actually is smaller, so there's gapping. That's where I'm going to eventually put siding around it to where it looks more flush.
So would you be talking about like a 10-foot square rezoning just around the sign?
Typically, rezoning applications are for the entire property, but I can say that this has a conditional use permit for a private club in the agricultural zoning district, and I believe that this use would be allowed by right, as I understand it, in the commercial zoning district, C2 commercial zoning district. So
But then that affects the rest of the property, that's the thing.
would,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we can't do that because we've had events on that we do the meat shoots on our acreage. We also have the tractor pull track.
Run for the wall.
And then run for the wall, that affects that. And that's the reason why we're just trying to get just that part of the sign in there, and we're done, and we're gonna clean. Matter of fact, I guess before I put a wall up over the, do I need to get a permit? That's the other question I'll have to ask, because if you see in one of the photos, I got the dumpster there. The next thing is to put a wall around the dumpster to make that more presentable so you don't see the dumpster from the road. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to get a permit for that, but yeah, if you see these two things right there, the dumpster, I'm trying to get that where that's all gonna be, and the slab cleaned up, and then that's gonna be cemented around, so now you don't see a dumpster, you'll have a wall. So That's the perception of what I'm trying to
So you're
change.
going to be back here again, huh?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't want to put brick down
What
until
I
I
would
do it.
suggest, if I may, is that you withdraw this, get back with staff, work through, if rezoning is one of your options, that sounds like a big problem. If your sign's not allowed in any
Yeah.
fashion in an agricultural zoning, that's a problem.
Yeah, well, it just, I guess it's not, and the thing that throws me off is agriculture. I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to wake any cows up, I promise. It's just a sign. And I'm looking at the practicality from my end of that, and I'm going, it was there before, that's why I didn't go through this. I'm just trying to have the sign displayed, so, and again, I have no problem working with a neighbor, dimming the sign. That's not the issue. I just want to move forward with the sign, and this was what way I was told to go, so. You know, eventually I'll get the dumpster thing once I get enough revenue generated for us to do that. But that's the whole perception of the post, is to try to make it look nicer, more presentable for people to come in.
Well, I was out there today, and I don't think the sign's offensive from my perspective. They're just, we need to get it in compliance.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be willing if that was something that, do I need to do a variance to just do, I don't need the flashing.
Right, right.
So,
I think that one would be tough to get, by the way.
yeah.
So is MoDOT's in this because of it being on the highway? Is it only in regards to the flashing hold time requirement or brightness, or
Well-
should they go through that avenue first as well so that they don't get through here and hit another roadblock?
They may or may not need a permit from MoDOT. It's on Highway Z, which is a state highway. And as I understand it, after the Highway Beautification Act of 1968 or 65, I think it's 65, part of that act required that states adopt rules having to do with flashing signs for both the interstates and for federal aid highways. So I'm not sure if this is part of the federal aid highway system or not, but I do know that MoDOT has adopted rules about what constitutes flashing. And so the Federal Highway Administration has recommended to states that they adopt between 8 and 10 seconds as a standard. In Missouri, you'll have to remind me, Mark, do you remember the?
I think it's 10 is what they've said.
Yeah.
10 in Missouri, and I think that our ordinance reflects
Says
that,
10,
and that's
yeah.
why we adopted 10, is because it was in sync with the state's own.
Yeah, and I'm happy to go
definition.
12.
Yeah.
So it's only in regards to the flashing, not the brightness of it?
Right, that regards flashing, and, yes.
A moving message is not construed to be flashing, is it?
It is, because it's a scrolling action.
Okay, but that's not what they're doing.
It'd have to be a static image.
It's a static, it's a static
Okay.
Yeah,
image.
static to
Right.
static.
So I
again.
think that ought to be clarified in their conversation.
I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, it comes on, it goes off.
Yeah.
Right, and the county's standards for electronic message boards or signs, it says that the transition should be instantaneous without scrolling or flashing or any movement or twinkling, things like that.
I think that's to avoid distraction. to
From the road,
drivers.
absolutely.
Right, yeah.
It does.
Right. Yeah, studies have shown that when the drivers take their eyes off the road for more than 2 seconds, that's when accidents are much more likely to happen. And so the moving signs, electronic signs, the biggest concern with that is that it would take the driver's view off the road for more than 2 seconds.
So Sheila, how should we proceed on this if they're going to withdraw it and then get with staff?
That would be a Robert question.
Okay.
Well, to save, to preserve all of your options, this is what I'm wondering out loud. The options that you have before you tonight, you could proceed tonight and ask them to, if they would vote on the evidence that you presented here for the variance. You could ask that to be tabled, and then during which you could explore whether you want to rezone the property. And then later on, if you wanted to withdraw your rezoning request, you just send in a letter and say, I'm withdrawing the request, and then that would be it. If you withdraw it tonight, Unfortunately, if you came back again, you would start all over again with the notices, and there would be another application fee. And so you would lose that application fee, and we'd have to notice it all over again. So what I'm thinking is you could do one of two things. You could ask them to proceed tonight with what the information they have at hand. You could ask them to be tabled so that you could come back later with more information, or you could come back, or you could ask them to table it to explore rezoning the property.
But now the rezoning, though, but that would.
Give me a sec.
The rezoning could, you could do it in a couple.
We're talking about just a part of the sign, right, in that area, not the whole property.
I mean, you can rezone a smaller portion. It doesn't have to be the whole lot.
Right.
But I would suggest that if you're thinking about rezoning, that it be more than a 10 by 10
Right.
first square area. You might look at, for instance, the building, the parking lot, and maybe leaving the rest of the land zone agricultural, so that you could continue to have your events there. And there's actually, I don't know that there's any reason why you couldn't hold those events zoned commercial. I don't.
But see, we have our meat shoots there, and our meat shoots come out, you know.
I understand.
They're in the building part, and they shoot out into the, so if that building was zoned commercial, right, then the noise and the sound and the shooting would come from the building out to the agricultural part. So,
Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second. First off, we already went through all that. The sound is not an issue now. That's already been taken care of. My suggestion would be to move forward with the contingencies of the no flashing, so that way it's in writing, and just simply move forward into that sign. You know, I mean, this road here, I can't blow up that picture because I can't see that sign from there.
yeah, there's, you know, and you.
But that would, I mean, that would be my suggestion, to move forward to that way, because, I mean,
We still haven't addressed the fact that that sign's not allowed in an agricultural zoning, flashing or non-flashing.
and that was where my variance went, because it was there from 11 years ago, so,
And it, you know, it's amazing, like, this post has changed commanders and quartermasters, and actually nothing has really gone through with it. We've
Yeah.
done something. and
nothing's
we're, you know,
nothing was said. And keep in mind, when I did put the sign up, a kid with a new toy, so
You
I
did
did
it-
light it up. I
you did
did,
it at
oh, look,
night?
it does stars, it does this, it's 4th of July, yay, I can do
So you
fireworks.
did it at night?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, then, you know, I was like, well, you know, wait a second, we can't do that. So, and I can do the dimming, I've gotten better with it. So that was my question. Agriculture, just looking at everywhere else on the area. I mean, the question I did get was, well, the church is in the city of Wentzville. But yeah, it's on the same road, and it's, like I said, we can see the parking lot from the
But
church.
It doesn't require zoning, does it, the church?
It's,
They're in the city of Wentzville, so.
Okay.
So it doesn't-
make any difference.
it went through one.
So,
I looked at the sign. To me, and I've been out there for the Run for the Wall.
yeah.
And other things. I've been there. But I got to tell you, I think the sign looks bad. And if you had come up with a drawing and maybe some landscaping and presented us with future plans instead of talking about it, now that we're here, that might have really aided in this presentation, you know.
Okay.
But as it stands, to me, when I'm looking at the rules, the sign doesn't fit what the rules are saying. And the options are what Mr. Myers laid out. So,
Well, I'd feel forward, go forward, because then I can always go back to a rezoning if I need to, but I'll have to go in front of my peers, my 200 members, and let them vote on which way they want to go with it, so.
So Robert, rephrase what you wanted, what you suggested, that we table it or that we approve part of the application? I don't see either part of the application that we can approve. The variance to
Well,
put it in agricultural
right.
zoning.
It's really, the applicant is in the driver's seat with this.
Right.
So if the applicant wishes, they can ask you to proceed with a vote based on the evidence that they presented, or you can ask that it be tabled to provide time to go back to explore options, including rezoning, or come back with more evidence.
Now, more evidence as far as example.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for somebody to tell me what they want. If I need to go to rezone, I gotta go back. So if you guys table it, then I still gotta go back and get the members. I can't just make a decision by myself on that.
Okay.
So,
If, my thinking is the cleanest thing might be to rezone a portion of the property to commercial. Like that includes the building and the parking lot. That would be one option.
okay.
And honestly, I think that's maybe the cleanest option because that would allow you to do what you want to do without tying you down to a narrow variance.
Okay, and then I guess that's where I'm gonna look for is guidance on that portion. If they table, do I come back to the Board of Adjustments or do I go to P and Z or?
If you ask that it be tabled and you apply for the rezoning of the property, and the county council approves, you would have to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission and the county council.
Okay.
The county council would either approve or deny the rezoning request. And if they approved it, you could just send in a letter withdrawing your application from the Board of Zoning Adjustment.
Okay.
That would be one
So,
idea.
I guess
So what would,
tabling it is where we need to go?
well, I still got a question. What would be the extra information that we would need? If you guys table it and you want more information, landscaping, a little, dress up the sign somewhat? You know,
I don't think that answers the question about that sign being an agricultural zoning. I think the option is to go for a rezoning of the property. If you want to put that sign up, don't come in and ask for a, flashing sign. And I think you'd have a very good chance of getting it approved.
Yeah, but-
I'm looking for guidance from you guys because I'm
sure.
trying to make this right for everybody.
Sure. Yeah. When I mentioned more information or more evidence, what I was referring to is the purview of this body is really to see if there is a hardship dealing with the land. And so if there's some other information that you haven't presented that helps make your case that there's a hardship for this property having to do with the land, that really necessitates having a electronic sign rather than just a regular physical sign, then that's your right to do so. You have the right to come back and present more information. But honestly, I think it might be a little hard to do so, to provide evidence that there's a hardship and have to do with the land that necessitates having an electronic message board.
Okay, I'm willing to listen to that. Absolutely. I'm in this position because from what I did, and I explained that. I guess I need to ask, as far as the county working with me on this, how much do I need? How much property? How much do I need? So where I keep the parking lot and the front face as one zone, or, that's where we need to discuss.
Sure. There's not any, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm kind of taking over the discussion
That's
here.
okay.
I
I'm just looking
apologize.
for guidance.
We ask for your information.
Okay. But there's no hard and fast rule about how much land should be included, but what I'm wondering is, it might include the parking lot and the building. You may or may not want to you mentioned having a survey done, you may or may not want to parcel that off into one parcel.
Right.
And then have all that one parcel rezoned to commercial, for instance.
Right.
That
I
might
want
be
to
one
split the
idea.
back half as one, maybe the building in the back half, and I was thinking the front and the memorial as a commercial.
Okay.
We hold events there, and the memorials, I'm pretty sure it can be in a commercial spot.
Yeah.
So,
Typically, the zoning districts follow the parcel boundaries. It's unusual to have one parcel split by multiple zoning districts. It happens, but it's much more common and more preferable to have the entire lot one zoning district. So that's why you might consider parceling off an area of land if you want to.
Right.
And
That's
rezoning that.
that's what I'm thinking. And again, sorry, guys, I'm asking for guidance. I mean, I wasn't planning on being in this situation. But yeah, maybe the helicopter and the memorial is all part of the frontage. And I can divide that up and do it that way. And that's all one piece. So, all righty. I asked you guys to table it. Fair enough?
Yes, I think Robert's suggestion is the way to go. And then proceed through your engineer on what to go about on. Is Kurt Daniels doing that? Who's your engineering company? Cochran? Yeah, it's Kurt Daniels, isn't it? Yeah. He could certainly give you a suggestion. In the back of my mind, it seems like if you're going to rezone that, you split it into like 2 lots, and the minimum is 10,000 square feet, I think, unless that's changed.
Yeah, the parcel size in the commercial zoning district, Mark probably knows this by heart.
I don't
but
think there's a minimum in commercial. I don't
Is there
think.
not?
Let's find out real quick.
Used to be.
No, I appreciate that. I'm just,
Well, and Kurt will know that, I'm,
There's none,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there is not a minimum?
No.
Okay.
right, in the commercial
So
zoning.
you
I will
might
help
just
work
ask
it.
him how he
And then I had a what other suggestion did you might have if the board has as far as on the sign? Like I said, I am not finished with the sign on the siding. I'd be happy to take those suggestions too. And, as far as, landscape or whatever, I have no problem with that. I'm trying to clean the place. I'm not trying to,
Well, if we table this, what's he do with his sign that's already up?
You know what, if it were,
We know he's got 14
gonna-
days to respond to our,
yeah, realistically, the sign's going to stay up, I would think, until the final disposition of the applications, either the variance or the rezoning. And that's typically what happens, honestly.
and I'd be happy to dim it if there was somebody, I didn't get to hear the letter, but I didn't see the letter or anything, but I'd be happy to dim it a little bit, and that's not a problem at all. Like I said, we're not trying to be, that's not what we're after there. So,
I looked on Google Maps where the house that the letter came from. So if you've got your back to the sign, you're looking across the street, it's about 2 or 3 houses down on the right
okay,
in that area.
okay,
It's not the houses right across the street.
okay.
well, there's kind of a privacy fence directly across the street.
It might be the same one that took us to court on the sound of the shotgun. which
So I
we
suggest you
think
get with
we
your
want.
engineer,
Yeah.
and he should know what's going on, and make a plan,
Okay.
since you're tabling it tonight. Do we need to take any kind of a vote on the tabling?
I would say we
So-
would.
So I need to take a,
We probably need
Make
to
a
close the
motion.
public hearing first.
oh, okay.
Need a motion and a second.
Okay, is there anyone else to speak for or against this issue today? Nope. We've worn you out, huh? Okay, the public hearing is closed. Let's see now. My director, I would entertain a motion
Motion to table.
to table, correct.
I'll second it.
I didn't make it.
Oh,
so
I
we
thought
have
you were
to make
making it.
Okay.
I'll make it.
Okay.
Who's making the motion?
I'll make the
Leslie.
motion to
Leslie,
table
okay.
it, the request of the applicant.
I'll second it.
Now you need to do roll call.
Gonna do that.
Oh,
He's writing as fast as he can.
All right, Leslie,
made the motion.
I mean, you have to vote yes or no. So.
Oh, I will vote yes.
John?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
I vote yes. Vicky?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion,
I think you'll find the staff very, very favorable to work this through with you. That's the best we could do. Thank you.
So now we need to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Right. We do. Any other communications for the board? Okay, they're gonna get together, cool.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am?
could you get a motion and a second for the minutes and then voice acclamation for the approval?
For June, the June meeting?
For May.
The May.
May meeting, okay.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the May meeting.
I'll second it.
Uh,
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. If we make a motion to close the meeting, too.
Yes.
But who made
A call for a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll s-
All in favor?
Aye. Sheesh.
Oof.